If the world constantly tells you that something is wrong with you for wanting to be alone, this video is for you. Most people assume that someone who prefers solitude is shy, antisocial, or somehow broken. But what if the opposite were true? What if choosing to be alone, genuinely enjoying your own company, is actually one of the most psychologically sophisticated things a person can do? Today, we're going to talk about 5 rare traits that people who prefer solitude almost always share. And by the end of this, I think you'll see yourself very differently. Number 1, you have an unusually high level of self-awareness. Psychology shows that people who are comfortable being alone tend to spend more time in self-reflection. And self-reflection, when it's healthy, builds something called interoceptive awareness. That's just a fancy way of saying you understand what's happening inside you. Your emotions, your triggers, your values. Think about it. When you're alone, there's no noise to hide behind. You sit with your thoughts, you process things. Most people are actually afraid of that silence because it forces them to face themselves. But you don't run from it. You've learned to sit in it. And that takes a level of emotional courage most people never develop. Number 2, you value depth over surface. Research in personality psychology consistently shows that people who prefer solitude tend to form fewer but far more meaningful relationships. They're not interested in small talk for the sake of it. They want real conversations, real connection, real honesty. This might mean you've been called too intense or too selective. But what that really means is that your social energy is precious to you and you're not willing to waste it on things that feel hollow. There's a big difference between being lonely and being alone. Lonely people crave connection but can't find it. People like you simply set a higher bar for what connection should feel like. That's not a flaw, that's discernment. Number 3, you have a rich and active inner world. Psychology shows that highly imaginative and creative individuals are far more likely to prefer solitude, and this makes complete sense. When your inner world is interesting, full of ideas, questions, daydreams, and creative thoughts, being alone doesn't feel empty. It feels alive. Research from the University of Buffalo found that people who enjoy solitude tend to score higher on measures of creativity and are better at processing complex information independently. Solitude, for these people, isn't emptiness, it's fuel. You may notice that some of your best ideas come to you when you're alone in the shower, on a walk, or just sitting quietly. That's not a coincidence. Your mind does its best work when there's space to breathe. Number 4, you have a strong and stable sense of identity. Here's something not many people talk about. A lot of social behavior, constantly being around others, always needing plans, struggling to spend a Friday night alone, often comes from a deep fear of being left alone with oneself. Psychology indicates that people with a less defined sense of self often rely on social stimulation to feel grounded. But when you're comfortable in your own company, it usually means you know who you are. Your identity doesn't depend on who's in the room. You have opinions that are actually yours, tastes that aren't just borrowed from the people around you, a quiet confidence that doesn't need constant external validation to stay intact. That is rare, and it is genuinely powerful. Number 5, you are naturally highly sensitive to overstimulation. Research on introversion and sensory processing sensitivity shows that many people who prefer solitude have nervous systems that simply process more deeply. More stimulation, more noise, more people, more social energy can genuinely feel overwhelming, not because something is wrong, but because you are wired to take in more. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people found that around 15 to 20% of the population experiences the world with a heightened level of depth and sensitivity. These people tend to notice more, feel more, and need more time to process what they've taken in. So when you pull away from a party early or need a quiet Sunday to recover from a busy week, you're not being antisocial. You're honoring how your mind and body actually work. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Solitude is not a symptom. It's not something to fix or explain away at social gatherings. For many people, it's a way of living that reflects depth, self-knowledge, and a quiet kind of strength that the world doesn't always celebrate, but absolutely needs. The next time someone raises an eyebrow because you'd rather stay home, or you turn down plans to spend time with yourself, remember this: you are not hiding from the world. You are simply someone who knows how to be whole without it. If this resonated with you, subscribe. Every week, we explore the psychology behind the quiet, the deep, and the often misunderstood parts of being human. You might just find that you understand yourself a little better each time.